coming today. Thank God for bringing me to this day. Lift up all of our families in a special way, our community, our state, and our country. My name is Christian Weigel. I've been a physician for 30 years. My wife, who's also a physician, and I have practiced medicine in Moorhead for 14 years. I was raised in Somerset, Kentucky. I made the decision to run for state representative in the 71st District in January after a great deal of soul searching and speaking with my family and my office staff. I plan, when elected, to serve you, to continue to practice medicine. I feel that that is crucial in representing the people well. I have come to know many folks in Rowan, Morgan, Menifee, and Wolf over the years, mostly through my practice. Doctoring, as we say, is in my blood. So why did I make the decision to run now? Certainly I would never have thought it likely 5 years ago. Our youngest child of 5 just graduated from Rowan County High School. All 5 of our children, and the 6th who lived with us for 2 years, have been educated here. I've been president of the Moorhead Clinic for 3 years, helping to keep open a small business with 80 employees. My wife and I came to Moorhead, not because we felt we could make a lot of money here, but because we felt and hoped that we could make a difference. I guess it is fair to say that my concern, our concern about the direction our government is taking, was the push to accept this challenge. Our state, as well as our country, is at a fork in the road. Politicians seem to think that government can solve all our problems. We admittedly face great challenges. Good health care is not readily accessible and available to all. High unemployment has left many families in our community, state, and country facing crisis. The drug problem, especially for our children, seems daunting and in many respects inadequately addressed. Certainly the recent flood issues have presented specific and special problems. I sense a growing and deep discomfort haunting our people. A real sense that those who run government have a punishing disconnect when it comes to people's daily lives regarding the role government can and should play in addressing these and other issues. That too many elected by us don't seem to feel that they work for us. Part of that is on us. We need to vote. We also may not appreciate enough how hard it is to make government work. Many feel, however, that the political system has become too much about the professional politician, the person who might work the system more than that person makes the system work for us. There is something to be said about being able to compromise, being able to make deals, but it has gone too far. For me, deals can be made about issues, but I will never make deals about values. I want to take a message to Frankfurt from our people. Kentuckians are tired of politicians who work the system. We want politicians instead who make the system work. We want politicians who realize that government can easily become the problem rather than facilitating the solution. I believe in the Judeo-Christian heritage that is the underpinning of our democracy. I deeply believe that despite the many failings of this country, and there have been many, it remains a beacon on a hill, a union that engages diversity and tolerance possibly better than any other, that we truly have a history of trying to be fair and trying to right the wrongs. I make no apologies for being American or for being a Kentuckian, and I deeply love this country and this state of Kentucky. That said, we must find a better way by our children. There is, after all, a better way. My generation, the baby boomers, is the first generation memory serves that faces the high likelihood of leaving a lower standard of living, a lower quality of life, a higher misery index as a legacy to our children. I will not stay quiet while that goes on. I will not pretend that there is nothing we can do, and we cannot keep sending politicians to Frankfurt as well as Washington who aren't willing to address this. My opponent in this race is the majority whip of the Kentucky House of Representatives. I have met him, and I have found him likable and friendly. The challenge for this seat is not personal. The challenge is about the condition of the state of Kentucky. Do we wish to be like California or New York, to be faced potentially with bankruptcy, to be faced with costly extra sessions wrangling about budget deficits while we spend money and promise money that we don't have? Will our politicians in Frankfurt truly vote in a way to represent the will of the people with transparency and communication? I am not convinced that my opponent has represented the will of the people in his district. My concern is that that will be represented, not the overriding and deal-sealing will of a liberal bloc in Louisville. Multiple examples exist. My opponent has been part of a liberal House leadership, and he co-sponsored House Bill 530, a tax bill that at best does not support existing business and at worst makes it harder to attract new business to Kentucky. His House has not supported legal and regulatory reform in business and in medicine. There is solid evidence that these grow jobs and improve health care access in other states. His House has repeatedly put the ultrasound bill, which enables full disclosure prior to abortion, into the House and Welfare Committee that was sure to vote it down. This is in light of it being passed overwhelmingly in the Kentucky Senate. This bill never made it to the House floor. Most acknowledge that this bill would pass easily in the House as it did in the Senate, increasing protection of the unborn and decreasing abortion. My opponent has supported expanded gambling, which is not supported in his district. It is debatable whether it would benefit Lexington and Louisville. It undoubtedly would not economically or socially benefit the 71st district that he represents. I believe in term limits. Once upon a time, it appears that my opponent did as well. This House, his House, has a recent 26% approval rating in a Herald Leader poll. In summary, we need jobs, private sector jobs. Kentucky has to become more business friendly through sensible tax, regulatory, and legal reform. We must become safer for all families, especially those most vulnerable, and get drugs off the streets and out of our schools. Education must be a priority at all levels, and our children pushed to compete. If necessary, we must introduce competition in the education system with vouchers, especially, and again, for the poorest and the most vulnerable among us. Equality of opportunity is a noble goal. Equality of outcome is not the government's responsibility. In conclusion, public servants, especially elected officials, must work for us rather than us work for them. We must stand on our values. Government must again be of the people, by the people, and for the people, or we will indeed drop the ball. We must again feel comfortable opening wide the doors of government to common sense. Thank you very much.